After the Snow is a sequel to the original's grim fairy tale, exploring the question of what happens after the phrase happily ever after. Written by Dale McCanty of White Cat Press and illustrator Trevor Wood of the webcomic Sawbones. Hello, comic book junkies! It's the Frog Queen here, and today I want to talk to you about a recent Kickstarter for After the Snow, a 6-issue miniseries. There's just 6 days left to the Kickstarter, so this is a little later than I prefer to talk about Kickstarters, but hey, let's do it anyway. I've had the pleasure of reading issue number 1. It takes a more adult and realistic look at characters displaying true human faults one doesn't see in the average fairy tale, unless of course you're talking about the villains who only have faults in the average fairy tale. Snow White in this case has been reigning as queen and sitting in her mid-30s now. She is worried about the loss of her physical beauty as she ages and displays some pretty immature emotions regarding that as well. Well, regarding everything. To me, she's written in a way where she values herself only by her perceived beauty, as does apparently her Prince Charming, who's basically anything but charming in the sequel. To accompany the theme of the not-so-happily ever-after bit, we have a dispute between Snow's father and Prince Charming's family's kingdom, and the ongoing threat of rebellion from the peasants. The whole first issue ends with a proper telling of who the bad guy is. Not that they all can't be sort of counted as bad guys at this point. I won't tell you who it is, you'll have to read it for yourself, which of course you can do by backing the Kickstarter for only $1. It will get you a digital copy of issue number 1, and for $7 you get the printed edition, and then from there are loads of various reward tiers. As far as Kickstarter reward tiers, I'd say this one is done quite well, except I'm not sure how they intend to put the likeness of everyone who pays $150 into issue number 2, but perhaps they'll have a lot of peasants on that issue. I'm not really certain. So why did I choose to do a video on this Kickstarter comic? Well, I was taken in by the art, which is pretty polished considering I've seen some really awful Kickstarters in indie comics in my day, and I was also taken in by the concept of a not-so-perfect happily ever after. I'm not really a fan of characters who don't grow, so I was curious to see where this would lead because perfect people don't exist, and hey, if they did, they wouldn't be very interesting in my opinion, and fairy tales, they're all about perfect people and monsters, so let's face it. This is much more interesting. My only real criticism is that this comic wants to use curse words and instead blurs them out with random characters. I think they should either substitute the words or lose them altogether. Even children can pick up on what word was intended, so might as well just say it or axe it, just a personal preference, but I feel like it's worth noting, especially since there is already adult content. So I don't understand the need to censor the curse words in general. There's other themes in the story that would be unsuitable to children, like nudity for instance, and sexual themes. Well, this concludes my coverage of this week's episode of Comic Book Kickstarters. Please follow the link in the description below to back this Kickstarter or simply search After the Snow. Remember to leave a like and share this video on Facebook, and until next time, read something good.